Welcome to the Networking Group USA podcast, where we're building relationships on opportunity, not obligation. I'm your host, Brendon Elliot, here to spotlight local business professionals, sharing their journeys, successes, and their best networking tips. Each episode is your inside track to genuine connections that grow your businesses and expand your network. Let's dive in and discover the stories behind the businesses that are shaping our communities. Welcome, Amy. There we go. Just to loosen it up a little bit. I love it. All right. So with us today in studio in the Hey Coach podcast studio 224, we have Amy Belmore from the Habitat for Humanity. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you so much, Brendon, for having me here. I'm delighted to be here.
It's exciting to have you. So to get through a little bit of the logistical stuff, right? Sure. So tell me a little bit about where you're from, where you come from, where the habitat is that you represent and that you run, essentially.
Sure. So I personally grew up in Kingston, so not that far away from here. Raised my family here, there as well, right there in Kingston. So, traveled elsewhere in between, but really have my roots there. And Habitat for Humanity of Greater Plymouth is based in Carver. We serve 6 communities. That includes Carver, Plymouth, Kingston, Middleborough, Lakeville, and Plimpton. So that has been in operation since 1995. Oh. And it is one of thousands of Habitat affiliates that operate around the world.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about Habitat for Humanity, because I want to get to the point where we start talking about some of the some of the projects that you have that you're working on and different things that people can get involved in and how to get involved, right? I want to learn a little bit more about your journey to Habitat, because I feel like before I sat down for you almost 2 hours, right? I thought I knew what the Habitat did, because I always saw the people and the pictures with the hammers and like the framed out houses and the t-shirts, but I didn't actually understand what it was. So can you just give us some insight as to what the Habitat for Humanity is?
Absolutely. Yeah, there are a lot of misconceptions about how Habitat for Humanity works across the country and around the world, but I'll focus just on Greater Plymouth and Massachusetts. We are entirely based on providing affordable housing opportunities for low-income families. So we do that by way of building new homes or rehabbing homes and bringing in someone new into that home for a family that is really, in a housing insecure situation. Obviously, the housing market right now, and has been for many years, sky high, incredibly difficult to break into for our workforce, for young adults, for fixed income seniors to stay in their homes. For so many people, the average house price in our Greater Plymouth area is $650,000. That's off the charts and really untouchable, unreachable for so many households. So we build homes. We use volunteer labor for the lion's share of that work. We work with trade professionals as well to do certain elements of the work that require licensure and so forth. But we are able to keep the costs low because we're using volunteer labor from across the community, and that can be individuals working on any given day. It can be a business group coming in and doing a team build and just having a rewarding day on the site. It can be a community group, a church group, you name it. On any given project, we'll have upwards of 350, 375 people that will touch that house over the course of a 6 or 7 month building time frame. We also do home repairs as well. And what we know about affordable housing is that it is the gateway, it is the pathway to better child development, better nutrition, better enrichment opportunity, certainly better education, employment productivity. You name it, that life gets better if you are not in a housing insecure situation. And so we very much work with those households who we serve a population that is underserved. We're getting to a population of people who make 60% of the area median income, anywhere between 30 and 60%. That's an underserved market. And typically they don't have access to traditional financing. They don't make enough money, or they have maybe a slip in their credit that a bank would not be keen on financing them. And so we're providing these opportunities to households that don't typically have the chance. And we know that when we do that, their lives will improve, generations will improve. We break that cycle of poverty, and that will stay with a family for generations.
I love that. I try to tell people when anybody ever asks me why I'm always go, I always say poverty ran in my family until it ran into me. right? That was kind of my favorite quote that I had heard that I tried to adopt, right? Not that, believe me, I didn't go for wanting anything growing up, but certainly a little, every once in a while, everybody needs a handout. So that's great. So obviously I can tell that you're very passionate about the organization. Can you tell us a little bit more about your journey to there? Because I know you had not exactly a direct.
I went to college at the University of Vermont. I thought I was going to be a wildlife biologist. That's what I studied, and environmental studies, and was fascinated by those topics. And, that took me to Australia to study down there in the rainforest and on the outback and so forth. And ended up, long story short, kind of came back, didn't find that type of work, maybe didn't take the right avenues to go search that work out, and ended up falling into special event management. That became a multi-year work with a large firm in Boston, and worked with a mentor, incredibly tough to work for, but so many lessons built along the way in terms of attention to detail and keeping your eyes open, and just taking advantage of the opportunities that were there to learn from others. So as a young working person, that's really where I got my roots, and then took that experience to the alumni relations world. I worked at Boston College and Northeastern University, and then started to raise my own family. And taking that trip from Kingston into Boston and Newton was a bit too far for me, so came back to the Plymouth area. Ended up working for a veterans nonprofit, did that for about 5 years, and then moved over to Habitat for Humanity. So what I would say is that, I've found that there are so many elements to the work that we're doing now is that there's a lot of project management built into it. And there's a ton of community relations. It's key. It's critical to the work that we do. And so, when I think back to my time in special events, which was all about the details, all about trying to create a very special and perfect experience for a client or an audience or whatever it might be, that devil was in the details, right? And so I carry that work with me, or that experience with me, into the work today, because there's so much detail into Habitat's work, and probably everybody who's out there listening could say the same, but there's a lot of work that we have to do with the state of Massachusetts, the municipalities that we're working with, certainly our donors and our families and volunteers. And so I really lean on that very foundational experience that I had way back when I first got out of college.
And a lot of, as my wife and I went and visited or attended the gala, right? Mm-hmm. So it seems like a lot of the fundraising that gets done too probably ties back to a lot of what you were doing with those alumni associations, right? Putting on those events. So what are some of your main fundraising opportunities through, like where do you get the money?
Yeah. The big ticket question, right? It does take money. So we do keep our costs low by utilizing volunteers, as I mentioned. And of course, we're leveraging our nonprofit status to get discounts and so forth on the materials and some services that we need. It still does take a lot of money to build a house. And especially now, inflation's going up and so forth. So the cost of construction materials has gone up as well. So we raise our funds from several different avenues. You attended to the gala. Thank you so much to both you. And
a great event, by the way.
Thank you.
Great event. Wasn't sure what to expect. I'm like, is this going to be a sit-down thing? Is it? Well, you don't sit down at those things.
No,
that is. Well, you don't. You're putting the thing on, right? No, but it was awesome, and there were a lot of heavy hitters in the room too, which was great.
Yeah. Well, we it's those types of opportunities are great for us to be able to tell the story and try to make some connections, and have a chance to really help community members understand how their support, whether it's through financial support, which is important and critical, or services that they're providing that in some way, shape, or form can support our building projects, or if it's just showing up to help out, lending their hands and so forth. We want people to understand that all of it, it truly does take a village, right? Yeah. And so it all has a meaningful impact. And so when we have in-person events like the gala, which is our biggest event of the year. That's our annual tradition. We have an annual meeting that has volunteer recognition components into it. And then we have smaller events. There they might change from year to year. We had a great kickball game last year. We've done art events. We've done, motorcycle rides and things like that. So, but in addition to that, that does raise important funds. But in addition to that, we are also writing a lot of grants. So both private foundations as well as looking at like community preservation committee funds, if a municipality has that particular source, because affordable housing is one of those categories that is eligible for use with those types of funds. So, we are heavily relying on multiple avenues and multiple buckets to try to put together the money that it takes to build these homes and repair. I should also mention we do have a repair program as well for existing homeowners that are low income and maybe they need critical home repairs or a disability ramp or something of that nature. We have a program that supports that as well.
That's fantastic. And just to let our listeners in on how important some of those in-person events are, like the gala, right? How much did you raise that night? Are you able to disclose that?
Yeah. This year we raised just about $90,000. Wow. Which was fantastic. Actually, in the last few years, we'd gotten over $100,000. So we had a little bit of a dip, which we can attribute to a few different things. But we'll be looking to get back up to that mark next year. And I should also mention, there's so much to the Habitat story that sometimes I forget to hit all the details. Very importantly, one of the biggest misconceptions. Our Habitat homeowners are not gifted these homes.
I'm so glad you said that because that was going to be one of the things on here. Like just so people understand, this isn't something where somebody won the lottery, right? I mean, they win a lottery because it's affordable housing, but it's not like here are the keys to the castle. You don't have to pay for a thing.
Correct. Yeah, it's a transformative opportunity for them and their families, but it is not a gift. So they become affordable home owners with a mortgage that is at an affordable rate. So just to give you a sense of when I say that. The house that we're building right now, which is a 3-bedroom down in Manomet in a lovely location, established neighborhood, very close to the market and, schools and so forth. That home will be sold to that homeowner who's already been selected for $229,000.
Oh, wow.
Right. So that's when we talk about the opportunity to really be able to put keys into the hands of people who don't have a chance otherwise. That's the difference that we're talking about from 229 to a market that is averaging what 650
at least
like that.
In Manomet.
For
My
a
goodness,
3-bedroom
yeah, that
they will own. So it really is incredible. So it is very much a hand up rather than a hand out. And then in addition to that investment, that's a typical 30-year term that they'll have on their mortgage. In addition to that, they're also putting in what we call Habitat World calls sweat equity.
Okay.
And that means that they are putting in each adult 250 hours into helping to build their own home alongside our volunteers. They can help the organization in other ways too, but they do need to participate on the construction site. So 250 hours, that's no joke. That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And, so they have to make it a priority and it's understood. It's part of the agreement. We have an agreement with them from the start. And so our application process it has multiple steps, but it ends with a lottery drawing. So it's a blind drawing out of a lottery of those who are qualified, income qualified. And then they have to, agree to the different components of our program. And the other component that's important too is that we offer financial education. We really want to make sure we set these folks up to be successful.
Yeah.
So if that means helping them to make sure they understand about, savings and credit and saving for a rainy day and those types of things. So we have volunteers who do that work as well.
Nice. Have you ever had somebody get drawn as a winner and then read the contract, kind of understand all the different things that are required and go, whoa, this is way more than I expected? Or do you not run into that?
No, we don't really to my knowledge, we haven't in our 28-year history. I don't believe that we have. I've been here for coming up on 7 years or so. So to my knowledge, no, I don't think that's ever happened. And one of the reasons why is because we also have multiple interactions with these people before they even get to the lottery drawing.
You vet them out before?
And we're explaining things to them before. Right. So there's actually, a home visit that goes along with the paper application and that kind of thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm one of the applicants, right? I go through the whole onboarding process or the vetting process, and through luck of the draw, my name comes out, right? And I have my wife and my 3 children, and where we qualify income-wise. Now I've got this $600,000 house that I got for $225,000 down in Manomet in Plymouth, which is the up and coming way on the way to Cape Cod, where people can't cross over those iron fortress bridges, right?
Yep.
So, what keeps somebody from receiving a home and then turning around and going, "I know how to make a fat profit"?
Our second most commonly asked question. So you're queuing me up here. Thank you so much, Brendon.
It's almost like it was designed that way. No.
It is a deed restriction. So
Okay.
it is a recorded deed restriction. It is affordable in perpetuity. And that's another piece of the agreement that they are signing, that they understand that it will forever be an affordable unit.
Okay.
And so that means they can't flip it. So they can, if they wanted to move or needed to move for whatever the reason, they're not prohibited from doing so. They would get out the equity that they put into it, but
Okay.
they can, they would get out their equity that they put into it.
Interesting. How much of the process on your end is involved with dealing with the state in these grants?
Well, there isn't really, we look at any path that's available to us, right? But most of our fundraising is done through either private foundations and business foundations, right? Or sometimes there is some public path as well. So like I mentioned with the CPC funds, that Community Preservation Committee funds, which all of the towns in our service area they use that in their town governance. So that's an option for us, but it's once a year cycle, it has to go through a town meeting vote. We actually just got through the Plymouth town meeting with a very favorable vote.
Oh, good.
In terms of the project that we're building right now. So we were able to get $70,000
Wow.
Because of the town meeting body supporting that request. So that was very helpful. So we when the timing works right, then we will apply for those sources. Some towns have an affordable housing trust. We've utilized that as well, but not all do. And we have actually received some funds through our state delegation. And we actually have received some federal funds as well. Our biggest challenge at Habitat of Greater Plymouth is the acquisition of property itself. So for us, it's always been our biggest challenge, and the thing that slowed us down more than anything else has been that starting point,
Okay.
getting the starting point. And so that's what those particular federal funds are meant to help us with. So we haven't given up on them. We're just, it's one of many things that we are looking at together with traditional avenues for site selection too. And we have volunteers that help us. A lot of realtors are in our mix that help us identify properties. The last couple that we acquired were through tax title. We take advantage of as many opportunities as we can, and
It just sounds like you turn
juggling
over
act.
every rock that you can possibly put your hand on, right, to find different opportunities. That sounds like that must be exhausting, but also equally as rewarding. There's no way you're doing this by yourself. I mean, I have the utmost faith in you being able to do it by yourself, but tell me a little bit about your team.
Yeah, it's a small team, but again, those volunteers really come into play in a big way. But in terms of the team in the actual Habitat office, there's like 4 of us that work in the Habitat office.
Oh, wow.
So it's a really small group.
I would have thought there'd be a 1 at least before that number, but no, it's just 4 of you, huh?
Yeah, it's just like two part-time, myself and my development and marketing manager, and then we have a part-time volunteer and office resource manager, and then we have our construction director who is also part-time. So when I talk about building, we're building 3 days a week. At the construction site is active 3 days a week. He is obviously doing a lot of work outside of those days where we're physically swinging hammers and paintbrushes, but we build Thursday, Friday, and Saturday each week.
Oh, okay.
And then we have our restore team, which is very focused on that arm of the operation, but supporting that on the back end, in addition to all the volunteers that are coming out to build houses or repair houses, we also have volunteers that help us with everything from fundraising to site selection to family support, family selection. So it's so many different ways in which people can support the organization behind the scenes, separate from what everybody thinks about Habitat when they see everybody smiling as they swing a hammer or put up sheetrock or whatever it might be. So it takes a lot just to keep the engine going.
I would imagine, and I'm actually very much looking forward to participating in part of the rehab build coming up in the new year. And we're going to talk about that project in a little bit. But Also, one of the things that kind of come to mind. So I grew up on a construction site. My father was a stonemason, right? So I was mixing mortar and slinging bricks up staging when I was 8 years old, right? Now that he's no longer with us, I can say that, so he doesn't have DSS or OSHA coming after him, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like you guys are putting together snap and click playgrounds, right? I mean, you're building and rehabbing homes. I mean, that's a lot of liability. How do you take if you have somebody like
Me.
I wasn't going to throw you under the bus. I was trying to use another example, but
I watch a lot of HGTV, so that could qualify me.
Yeah. Monster Flip or whatever it is, right? Listed or flip it or listed, love it or listed. There you go. So if you have somebody like Gina, who wouldn't know which end of the hammer to hold, right? How do you ensure that she's put in the right position so that everybody on the job site stays safe?
Yeah, and safety is actually our top priority, more so even than productivity, to be honest. And habitat sites do go slower than a traditional construction site for that very reason, is that we're not dealing with experienced people. We have lots of Ginas, lots of them that come our way.
I mean, there's only one of you,
There's only one.
but there's a lot of people that fit the mold.
But no, truly, but in all seriousness, so our construction director is a licensed construction supervisor, and he's been doing this work for a very long time with Habitat for 15 years, and has built outside of Habitat, has built hundreds of homes as well. So both for Habitat and then his own professional work. He's very experienced. And because he's been with Habitat for so long, he is very experienced in being able to quickly assess who brings what to the table, what kind of skill set they bring, if any, what kind of comfort level, physical, with certain tasks, whatever the task is for the day, right? So he's understanding what the work has to be done for the day, and then matching the people up with sometimes he's pairing people up with a mentor.
Okay.
And we have a lot of volunteers who repeat too. You know, we have a group of guys that comes like every Thursday, and then a different group that comes every Friday, and then individuals are plugging in all the time, but we have these repeaters that basically can serve as mentors and partners. And what ends up happening for the volunteers as well as the homeowners, as they're putting their sweat equity in, is they're learning a lot of skill.
Right.
We have volunteers that come to the program because they want to learn skill to take back to their own home. And that happens. And they think they're there to learn about sheetrocking, and soon enough they've learned about siding.
Yeah, right.
Something to that effect. So it's very much safety is very, very much top of mind always. And, if need be, a site also has to stay clean for it to be productive.
There you go.
And
absolutely.
if need be.
So you're assigned to the cleanup crew, Gina.
Yes. And I know.
Yeah, this is Derek. I just wanted to say I volunteered for Habitat with Old Colony.
Oh, yes.
Kim Thomas, a good friend of mine.
She's
she
awesome.
runs that over there. And when I got there, of course, I'm 6'3", and I was put on the painting team, especially the ceiling painting team. And then my wife was there, and she's really handy, and she was installing all the toilet paper holders and all that kind of stuff in the house too. So they did quickly assess us as to asking questions and then get us motivated. And I thought it was fun. It was a good time. We were there for 4 hours, I think. It was our shift, so to speak, and it was a good time. So in the next house that's coming up, we're gonna do it again as well too. So I think you guys are so well organized, as you're mentioning. I just, from a volunteer's perspective, it was, what am I gonna do? Like you were saying, but what am I gonna do when I show up here? And I brought a bunch of tools because I have a bunch. You know what I mean? And actually
show off. He just wanted to show off.
I will say it does help. From that standpoint
that was
too.
his asset.
Yeah, I didn't know. I'm like, so I brought my own drill and stuff like that. I'm like, you never know. And then, of course, my wife used the drill the whole day, and I had a paintbrush on the ceiling the whole day.
The Portuguese girl from Taunton.
Yeah, she was in that. But I thought it was run so well the way that you guys do it. My only question was, how many habitats are there in chapter, whatever you want to call them, divisions, chapters?
In Massachusetts alone, there's 17. Just in Massachusetts as a small state. So, I mean, across the country, it's hundreds around the world, and they are operating around the world. And of course, home structures look very differently in other parts of the world than they do here in the U.S., or even in the northeast of the U.S. is different than down south. So,
got it. Yeah.
But I'm glad that you said how much fun you had, because really it's very fun. And that's why people come back. It's very rewarding. It's very camaraderie driven. And for those who are coming week after week, they're having a blast and learning new things or just enjoying each other's company. And then for people who plug in just for a day or maybe, once a quarter, they're doing it.
Yeah,
Because
we
it's
did it
really
as a
fun.
class of our class
Yeah.
in 1988. So we had like 15 people.
I was
who
2
went.
for the record. I just want to throw that out there. I was 2 years old
You're
when that happened.
You're
so.
a baby. You're such
I'm
a
glad you
baby.
said baby after you're such a. So that's a good.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's awesome.
It really is fun.
Yeah,
It really is.
And I'm assuming, obviously, being in the Plymouth area now, I'm new to the Plymouth area. Only going on my 5th year now, which is crazy how fast that time went by. But getting to know a lot of the people that are really tight knit in such a large area, but the business and networking community is really tight, right? And then you have people like Kevin Hood, right,
Sure.
from Hood Construction, and
Yep.
you see a lot of their social media stuff where they're out on your job site. So I can imagine when you have one of the largest construction companies on the South Shore coming in and being a part of that, that probably helps a lot.
It does. And we have Kevin's a great example, and there are others. And what we end up seeing, we are always giving social media shout outs to people who are supporting us, whether it's a lawyer with a closing or someone like Hood Construction who helped us with sheetrocking, or our plumbers or what have you. Some of those trades that we have to bring in, the electrician and the plumber and roofers, those are things that we don't have volunteers doing. Kevin was kind enough to send us a crew for a day to help us with the sheetrocking, which was super helpful. He's done that a number of times. But what we end up seeing happen is that when we do that shout for them, we'll get a message in a private message saying, "Hey, I'm a plasterer. Do you need some help?" Or,
Oh, that's great.
And there's a ripple effect that it's really great. It's really helpful.
That's fantastic. So how long have you personally been involved in the Habitat?
So I joined about 6.5 years. So
Okay.
I joined in 2019. They were just putting the shovels in the ground of a home in Kingston, and
Just in time for the pandemic.
exactly.
Come and lock everybody down.
So wild story about that one is that particular homeowner, single dad of 3 kids at that point, and he had been bouncing around from couch to couch, had been in shelter at one point, but immediately before had been staying on friends' couches and so forth with his kids, and moved in. I'll remember this always. March 3rd of 2020 is when he actually moved in. And 10 days later, the world turned upside down. Wow. So if you think about the importance of having your own space at that time and knowing that you were in control of your own space and what was coming in and out and so forth, it's just pretty remarkable. I think I'll always remember that one. And then those
That stole my next question. My next question was,
that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
my next question was going to be, in the last 6 years, do you have a favorite story?
It's just when things come together and you know that it's taken so much effort by multiple individuals contributing what they can to that particular problem at hand. Or in the case of just a house coming to fruition. I mean, when we sit down at the closing table, at the end of a build, and we're the lawyers at one end of the table, and you've got the homeowners across from you, and we typically have a few board members in the room, and it's sinking in with them that they are signing
Yeah.
their mortgage papers and they are getting the keys to their house. I mean, those are really great moments, but it's actually not that signing moment that stays with me. It's just all of the work that it took for the staff and the volunteers, but to get there. So it's rewarding.
I
to
thought
say the
that
least.
because the house that we worked on was in Taunton. It's actually not but 2 miles from here where it was. And then the day that they were giving the house to the family, not signing obviously, but the first day they were going to move in, they had like a ceremony there. And to see that, like, there was a high school boy that was one of the sons. She had a son and a daughter. They're a single mom, and it was a 3-bedroom house. Like, they were just in tears.
Yeah.
Like, and they had worked all those hours. Not only did she, but her son, the teenage high school son, worked like 250 hours as well too. Like you were saying, like they were there all the time. I guess Kim was telling me, and to see them get that house that day, the mayor was there to give it. It was like a huge moment for them. And then like he got a job in, I don't know if it was the mayor's office or something. The teenage son,
Wow, nice.
yeah, as well too. So like he was working the whole time, but the networking that he had done when he was working
Well
was
done.
like, yeah, but where else would he have got that experience? Where else would, and I don't even think it was in the mayor. He just, one of the contractors or something just asked him if he wanted to I don't know if it was an internship or work as a laborer or something like that, but he ended up getting a job out of the Habitat community coming in there too.
The
So
dedication ceremonies are really so lovely.
yeah, that's what I didn't have the right word. So yeah, the
very
dedication
common.
ceremony. Yeah.
So I think all of us do it, because it gets, all your key supporters together, key volunteers, team together. It's, there's certain elements that we bring to every one of them that's traditional. And I would say, like, there was, as a memorable moment from the last one, we did that 2-bedroom that I mentioned. So Mom was a DCR ranger. She's out there at the Plymouth Waterfront Park, and then Miles Standish, patrolling the parks and keeping people safe. But she had a 4-year-old girl, and I remember looking at her as there was like a little porch that we were speaking from, and the driveway was down below, and she was crying. Mom was crying, but she was crouched on the ground because her 4-year-old was only this big, right? And so she kind of had her arm around her 4-year-old, and she was, she had tears coming down her face, and her daughter was like wiping her tears away. I'm going to start crying again.
Oh,
right?
boy.
Like I couldn't even look at her while I was.
That's how
speaking
I
because
felt
it
the
was so
same way
emotional.
that day.
Yeah.
It was really, it was an emotional day too.
Yeah.
And Kim, your counterpart, was in tears
Yeah.
as they're hugging each other. And you guys do a great job. Put so much work into getting that property, done. And the one they did over here in Taunton, it was a total wreck before. So they had to level it and then build it up from scratch. So basically they bought a lot if they bought it. You know what I mean? I think the city of Taunton owned it and gave it to them, but they had to do all the work to take it down, never mind put it all back up.
Right. And so
which
that
was
was
an
an added
amazing
cost
job.
for her too.
Correct.
So she has to consider that cost. So but that happens around the state too. People we're dealing with infill properties in different ways.
So
Yeah, we each have our geographical service
yeah.
area, so we stay in those bounds and very cooperative, and we'll refer, if we hear about different things outside, we'll refer over to our colleagues and so forth. So yeah, that makes sense that she probably went in that direction.
yeah.
But,
I can imagine that the tear jerking finish right at the end is probably what everybody would picture, almost like that Hollywood kind of ending, right? But as you're telling that story about the high school kid, right? And not even about the job at the end, but talk about a life lesson that to understand the responsibility of putting in the sweat equity and then seeing that finished product, and then actually being able to reap the rewards from that. I mean, that's a life lesson.
Sure
That's something that will stick with him for the rest of his life. And that's changing, right? Changing the chains or breaking the chains for whatever family he raises, right? Is being able to say, hey, you know what? Yeah. Mom did everything she could to put us in this house, and you know what, or dad or whoever it was, right? And they worked 4 jobs, and it was just tough out there. And so, you know what we did? I was in between classes, every waking hour I had, I was swinging that hammer or sweeping the floor or whatever. And then at the end, we got to keep it, and that's why we now live in this nice house.
Right. Yep. And I would add on to that he will very likely become a more invested community member, right? Now, as he grows into an adult, he's going to be looking out for his neighbors and fellow community members in a different way. Right. Because he saw all of these strangers coming together, taking time out of their days and out of their lives on a Saturday, on a weekday, whatever, to build him a house, right? And so that'll stick with, especially like a teenager.
Yeah.
We always say that the homeowners, they become invested in our product, the house, in our people, fellow volunteers, and in the process of a community building endeavor like Habitat. And that's what it is. It's a community building effort.
And so that's actually a perfect segue. So this the podcast is the power of Networking Group USA, right? So Networking Group USA is its own business networking group. That's where the intro of building relationships through opportunities, not obligations. So I am going to tie in a little bit of networking into this if it's okay, but I think it's a perfect segue from it takes a village. Tell me a little bit about how networking plays into your success over the last 6 years.
It's huge. I mean, it's huge. When you start to make connections with people face to face, just have conversation and get to know one another as people and not just as a business card.
Right.
I think that makes a huge difference. And the reality is everybody that I've met at least in that type of community is just working really hard. They're just really trying to make their small business more successful, serve their community in a different way. We're certainly not the only nonprofit, who are out there at these networking events, but everybody is relying on each other, I think, to spread awareness, even if that's all that can happen, even if there isn't an actual resource that might make sense for the person across the table or, at the other end of a handshake, even if it's just spreading awareness about one another's businesses or community work, it's really, really helpful. I mean, you can't replace it. You can't sit behind your desk or behind your computer and have the same impact in your community, I don't believe, or outcomes for your efforts. I think you absolutely, again, it goes back to that kind of team mindset too. Like, you need many players on the field to advance the ball, right? Yeah. And so I just consider the business community that I network with to be, my teammates.
See what she did there, Derek? Hey, Coach. Hey, Coach.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach podcast brought to you from Studio 224. Had to use the takes a whole team and the players on the field to advance the ball. I'm going to go ahead and say that was a football reference.
Or soccer, I guess, but I thought football as well.
I'm going to say it's a football reference.
Okay. Listen, I got a hockey coach in here next, so the football's 2 weeks.
We got the
now,
puck.
So.
All right, to move the puck up the ice. All right. So let me ask you this, because I think you touched on it, where there are a lot of nonprofits out there, and a lot of people thankfully are very passionate about giving back to the community.
Yeah.
The way that Gina or I or Derek, right, the way that we network for a for-profit, it wasn't until I matured a little bit where I realized that non and profit can be in the same sentence, right? Specifically because of what I do for a living, right? So networking for you, I don't want to say it's different, right? Obviously, I wouldn't know because I haven't networked for a nonprofit before, but I would assume that it must have its own challenges, right? I mean, it might be a little bit easier in some areas and then a little bit more difficult in others. So what are some of your go-to best networking practices?
So I think in the closed environments, for instance, if we're presenting to a Rotary group or a group of some kind like that, where we have an opportunity to tell stories about human impact of support, that is really where we're going to start to see people making connections and understanding that their contributions, whatever they might be able to offer, whether it's financial support or services or further networking, to be honest with you, if they can open a door for us to meet someone else who might be interested in the housing space, that's equally helpful, even if they themselves might not have a direct connect to it or don't have an opportunity or don't have the capacity at that moment to be helpful in their own direct way. So storytelling is definitely something that is very helpful. In an open environment, maybe like you say, like a big event where it's, you're in a ballroom full of people, and then it's really just it's being comfortable enough in your own shoes and understanding why you're there, that you're there for a purpose. From our perspective, if it costs me $40 to attend a lunch and that's my nonprofit's money, I'm there for a reason, and I need to get some work done.
Yeah.
And so I can't stand, in the corner looking at my phone. I can't, just sit by myself at a table and enjoy the nice meal. I need to be going up and talking to people. And it's easy to gravitate towards the people that you know best. And sometimes even I'll slip into that sometimes, where it's like they become your friends. And you talk about Amy Naples, she's a friend.
Yeah.
I can name a whole bunch of names who I consider to be friends now. But it's making sure that you're also looking to see who are the people that I haven't had a chance to connect with yet, right? Like who is in this room that, I really want to introduce myself to, and I also want to hear from them. And I think it's important for people to, even though from a nonprofit perspective, I think most people realize that we're always in need of support of some kind. We can also be supportive of others, and there are ways in which we can be helpful too. And so I also try to ask those questions, even to my for-profit, business colleagues or chamber member folks, how can Habitat be helpful?
Well, good. So now what'll happen is next time we're at an event together and you don't come over to say hi to me, I know it's because you're on a mission, not because you don't like me.
I'm not being
right?
rude.
Okay, good. I think that you touched on a really, really important piece there of networking with a purpose. And unfortunately, I don't think enough business owners that join networking groups or attend events, that money is coming out of their own pocket. They don't necessarily approach it the same way, which you would think they would, because it's their money coming out of their pocket. But a lot of times people will go just to check the box, just to say they were there. And we talk about this a lot in some of our other guests that we've had, that people will just go in and just hand out business cards. And if they go in with 40 business cards and they walk out with 2, they get to say, I gave out 38 business cards, right? They didn't do the networking process correctly because they didn't go in with a purpose.
Well, and they won't be memorable.
They won't be memorable.
If someone doesn't make themselves memorable to me and hands me a business card, and I get back to my desk 2 days later and I pull those cards out of my bag, and if I haven't made a connection with that person, I'm not gonna really remember them. It's not gonna be effective, right? Versus having an actual conversation with someone where I can. That's not unusual for me to sit in my car afterwards and scribble on the back of business cards to remind myself, what is it that this person? What's the connection that I can make with this person? And so I think from our perspective too, as I mentioned, we don't have a very big staff. So there are lots of networking opportunities to take advantage of. So if I'm stepping away from my very full pile on my desk to go network, knowing that what I have waiting back in my office for me, that has to be valuable, right? Like I have to get value from that, from a nonprofit perspective. So I guess I would just say, what to those who might have more resources available to them, and networking might not be such a, you're really making choices about what you can attend, either for cost reasons or time reasons. You still might as well, you want to be memorable. You want to be effective, right? Otherwise, why bother? I guess is my question.
It's easy to fall into the trap of not having a purpose, right? And thinking that just because you showed up, it was enough.
Yeah.
And I think being memorable in the right way of being memorable, right? I think, well, I can only speak for myself. I've probably been on both sides of being memorable, whether it was both positive and negative. But at the end of the day, having it so that you have a plan going into the meeting, not necessarily about walking out with a certain amount of names or a certain relationship, but at least going in with those bigger meetings that are more open, where it's easy to kind of get lost in the crowd, or just go find your comfort zone of the people that are over sitting in the circle, kind of doing what we normally would do if we were just out grabbing drinks at East Bay, right? I think that being able to have a purpose or trying to have some kind of desired outcome before even going in there, because once you walk in there, nothing's going to go according to plan. Right. But at least if you have some kind of plan going in, you'll have a better opportunity of being productive and being memorable, I would think.
Well, yeah, and I think the follow-up side of it is really important too, Yeah.
So I had just joined the Plymouth Chamber probably a year before I actually got involved. And it was right when I joined or moved to Plymouth. And I said, well, of course, right, you got to join the Chamber of Commerce. But I didn't really understand what kind of community it was inside the community. And one of the first events I was asked to go to was the Phyllis Hughes Awards luncheon at East Bay, where you were the honoree, where you received the award. I tell everybody it's the Humanitarian of the Year award. I don't know if that's necessarily accurate, but that sounds really good, and you deserved it, right? And of course, last year was our friend Kevin Hood, which is awesome, right? So what happened there was I saw it. I didn't really know what to expect. We had 100+ people at East Bay Grill. You got the award and got to give a speech about how impactful the work is that you do, and you didn't soak in that limelight. You pushed a lot of that off and thanked a lot of the people that were around you in the community. And then when I was asked a year later to be a part of the Plymouth Chamber Board, and I got in that room and you were sitting across from me, and I went, well, I got to get to know these people, and she's really connected in all of this community, and obviously a great person, if not only you work for the Habitat, but also being recognized as a huge leader and somebody that has a huge impact in the community. So that was of all. I mean, how many people are on our board? 20 something?
It's a lot, yeah. 25 or something.
So I'm looking at this round table and I'm like, Amy, want to grab coffee? Right. And that's really what it was. I said, I'm kind of reaching out here a little uncomfortable because you and I had never actually had a real extensive conversation. I said, I really want to get to know I want to get to know everybody on the board, but I got to start with you.
Thank you.
And for two people that didn't know each other, we talked for like an hour and 45 minutes. And believe it or not, Gina, I did not do most of the talking.
Oh, I find that surprising.
For one.
You asked a lot of questions, though.
I did ask a lot of questions.
Good. Yeah, get you talking.
Yeah, I get to know, and I was not expecting such a diverse background from you, really. And I guess I should, not that I should say I wasn't expecting it, but it was cool to hear your story as to where you got, how you got to where you got to, and the impactful work. So
now you're making me just as uncomfortable as I was with Phyllis Hughes Award.
they do have a couple of very specific questions because they're going to be geared towards the projects that you're currently working on. So tell me, now that the Manomet project is done,
Not quite, but coming up on it.
coming up on almost being finished, what's the next project you have in the pipeline? And after that, do you already have a project after that, or are we just going to laser focus in on the one starting in the new year?
So two-part question. So we do already have a project in the pipeline, and actually, so Manomet's probably about a month away or so from being completed. So that's charging right along. We are in the middle of an application round for our next home. So this one's going to be in Carver. It was a tax title property, and we acquired it from the town of Carver in September and moved quickly to start working on those design plans in terms of septic, water, architectural, structural engineering. All that stuff is being done simultaneously as Strand is happening as well. So we have a different construction supervisor that's helping us over in Carver. And we actually have an open application round now, and that's really important to share because this one has in partnership with the town of Carver, it has a veteran preference on it. And so that means that within the lottery, it's still going to be a lottery drawing with income qualifications and household size considerations, but we're hopefully going to get qualified veterans that will land in their own pool, and then that'll be the preferred pool, and the homeowner would be selected from that. And the deadline for that application is December 4th. So we're about a month away from that. And having worked in the veteran space before, this is a difficult group of people to get to kind of come out and take advantage of opportunities sometimes. Very, in terms of culturally, sometimes it's
Pride. It's pride. Yeah, and that's not a bad thing, right? I mean, God, they were trained to defend our country, right? Lay their lives on the line, and then to turn around and feel as though you're reaching out for a handout. I'm sure doesn't sit well with everything that they've been trained for.
Right. So it's a barrier. So we're really trying to get the word out. We're talking to lots of different veteran organizations and all the VSOs in the area and so forth. And in any case, hopefully we're going to get those applications in. December 4th is the deadline, and then we'll right after Strand ends, we expect to get to work with volunteers. So we're doing that. Is a really old house. It was built in 1890, so it has asbestos. It's got lead. We've got to deal with that professionally, the abatement of that. So we expect the professional work to take place over November, December, and then we'll be able to rock and roll with our volunteers starting early in the new year, like in January. So that's that project. And then, but we're constantly looking. There's another property over in Plymouth, a specific address that we have our eyes on as well that we're assessing in terms of engineering. I just 2 days ago just got emails from one of our site selection members who sent me a couple addresses of other properties in other parts of the service area. So it's just a constant ongoing process.
So I'm going to jump back to the veterans preference.
Please.
How are you doing so far with applications? Now, what can we do to help you and the Habitat specifically towards driving the application process or inventory?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I think just spreading awareness about the opportunity as it exists. There are a lot of details. It's in terms of the income qualifications and threshold limits and things like that. But all of that information can be found right on our website, which is hfhplymouth.org, as in Habitat for Humanity Plymouth.org. And so all of that is right there, right on the homepage. There's a button that says apply, and it takes you to a wealth of information about the eligibility and criteria and so forth. So sharing out the information, and then if there are any listeners or viewers who know someone who might be well qualified or well suited for this type of opportunity, one-on-one connections with those folks can really make a difference to encourage them to actually apply. And certainly if they have questions or need assistance filling out an application, we have
Right.
our staff team. We have volunteers who will help and that kind of thing. So, I had a conversation with someone on the phone, a veteran on the phone just the other day, and I, could tell over the course of that conversation that I was able to answer a lot of questions that I think, knowing once he had more facts about it, he was inclined to pick up an application. I'm told he's going to come tomorrow. So,
Nice.
so I think sometimes it's just breaking through hesitancy, which is what personal connections can do. So if there's anybody out there who knows someone or knows a network of veterans that can share, that would be great.
Encourage them too, right? I would like to think that, if we can have any kind of message that goes out to them, it's like men and women that serve our country so that we can sleep at night without having to worry. They lay their lives down for us. Let us do something back. And it's not a handout, it's a hand up.
It's a hand up.
And I think that that's a huge, huge piece to say it is okay. Right, to participate in these kind of things. And so not just a call to the veterans out there that might be listening or veterans that might check this out, whether it's on a reel, on a all things Plymouth or a Carver helping Carver, but also to the people that know somebody that would fit this. I think we're calling you as well to say, step up, encourage those people. They were willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice for us, so let us at least do something. And by us, I'm grouping in with Habitat.
No, please, that's absolutely true, though. Yes, thank you for bringing it up. And the more it's not a one-page application. There's a lot of information that they do have to pull together, and so it's not something that I would want to see people wait till December 2nd to start the process on. So. We can answer lots of questions, but they do, these applicants are pulling together employment history, tax records, and things like that.
Got it.
So it's a full vetting process. It's not to be intimidated by that, but it's just to say that
don't wait till the night of the test to start studying, right? Yeah. So I'm going to jump topics here, if you're okay with that.
Sure.
Actually, let me open up the door here. If there's anything else on that Carver project for the veteran preferred.
Well, I would say, for anybody out there in the business community that would like to get involved in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through services or materials, we're just now starting to kind of build out what that roster is going to look like. And so we have certain partners that we work with, over and over again. But we're always, the reality is we're starting this project as a complete rehab. It's going to be gutted on the inside. The structure will stay in its existing form, exterior. On the interior, it'll be completely rehabbed. So there's a lot that goes into that as well. So if there's anybody in the business community that would like to participate from a trades or material standpoint, we'd love to hear from them. And then if there's folks out there who want to volunteer, same website that I mentioned before, either individuals can volunteer that way, or if they are part of a group, whether it's, a book club, a church group, whatever it might be, a business
an
group.
NGU chapter.
An MGU chapter.
MGU chapter.
I have a bunch of, as I was telling Amy before, I have a bunch of guys that are very philanthropic and very charity driven, that are motorcycle guys. And a lot of them are blue collar construction men as well.
Yeah.
And so I stood up at our last gathering and I said, I need 14 guys, right? Because I think the max that you can bring is 15,
Roughly,
right?
yeah.
So I said, I'm doing this one way or another. And I told her that I would bring a crew. So I need 14 other guys. And there might have been 40 people in the room. And I was like, okay, now I'm actually going to have to pick 14 out of these, right? So I get to dust off the old work belt, right? It's been about 18 years, but that's okay. I still got it, right? I'm sure.
You could even come more than once.
Oh, imagine that. Well, okay then. I mean, let's start with one and see if I still got it, right? No, I'm good, as you saw at the Restore. I'm good at picking up heavy things.
Yes.
And then putting them down. I am the definition of a Planet Fitness commercial.
I pick things up and put them down.
Exactly, the lunk alarm. So another good segue into the Restore, right? And so my question is, can you explain the Restore? Because I got to be honest with you, I knew when you were explaining it to me that you had this resource. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I was thinking it was like a Salvation Army maybe, or like a Savers kind of, like a Facebook marketplace, but like, I don't know, with a little bit ribbon on it. Mm-hmm. And then I donated that table on Saturday, and I walked in and I went, holy shit. Like, sorry, excuse my language, but I was like, holy shit. This is better than, like, if you go into Jordan's Furniture and you know how they have like not the basement, or I don't know what they call it, but it's like that part of it. You walk in and you go, yeah, it's like a warehouse, but it looks like a Jordan's furniture. It looks like a Bob's furniture. And I went in, I'm like, I'm kind of pissed I didn't know about this sooner, because I've furnished like 3 different properties, and I'm like, I would have saved myself probably thousands of dollars and actually been giving back. So tell me a little bit about how the Restore came to be. Explain a little bit about how it serves as a social enterprise, and also how it supports the mission.
Thank you for asking. And I'm so glad your story is very common, right? So many people who have never stepped foot in the Restore don't know what they're about to experience, and we're really proud of about the environment that we've created there. Really, basically, it's Restore. We sell gently used furniture, appliances, lighting, building materials, housewares, things of that nature, and the proceeds from those sales support the affordable home building work. And so it is very much a social enterprise. It is a model of Habitat International. So, we are one of, as I mentioned before, hundreds across the country affiliates underneath the Habitat International umbrella that are based down in Georgia. But not every affiliate has a Restore. We have been housed in Carver, and so basically anybody can shop there. Common misconception is that you have to be of a certain income bracket to shop at the Restore. Not at all true. And in fact, we have people coming in. We have folks who are, in fact, refinishing a rental property or an Airbnb, or obviously their own home. Or maybe it's a young adult's first apartment, or a college apartment, or it's a cottage or a second home, or what have you. And so they're looking for furnishings or appliances that are less expensive. And, we're selling couches for less than $300. We're selling appliances for right around that mark.
That double door full size fridge you showed me, it was stainless steel, and you're like, it's $300. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
that would have.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, armchairs for $100. So many, and then unique items. We have treasure hunters as well that come in because they're looking for a really cool like DIY starter piece, or sometimes we get antiques or just really unique oddball pieces that are people love them, and so we have a lot of people who come on a weekly basis, because we always say you never know what you're going to find at the Restore. It's not like we're ordering anything. We don't know what's going to walk in the door until it shows up. People can donate, really importantly. So not only can everybody shop there, but everybody can donate. And so we're 100%, all about donating materials. And so people, if they're downsizing, renovating, just ready to refresh their own furnishings, but there's good life left in their product, in their home, they contact us, they send us photos. If it's a large piece, we send a truck out to pick it up.
Nice.
For free. There's no cost for that. If it's just a lamp, we do ask people to drop it by. But if it's a large piece, we'll go ahead and do that. And, it's keeping thousands of pounds out of the landfill, so we're very aware of, and find it's very important that we're paying attention to our environmental footprint. That's another very big piece of what Habitat is doing through the Restore. And we're providing really, really good quality goods for households who need the support. Yeah. Some of our households, don't have the income to shop anywhere else. Yeah. Period. End of story. It's the only place they can shop. Others are they're finding great deals and they enjoy that. Whatever the reason that motivates someone to come into the Restore, all of those proceeds are supporting our work. And we actually grew recently. We expanded into the space next door, which had been vacant for over a decade. Wow. And so we were really
just cut a hole in the wall and
we did.
And opened it wide up.
So where you're going to be doing your seminar, Brendon, I'm going to give Brendon a shout out. He's doing a seminar, retirement planning seminar for us in a couple of days. And so that space that you saw with all the dining sets and the appliances, that we just opened up in April. And so we're really glad for that. And we're hoping that it's going to house more cabinets. In fact, we've relaunched a cabinet program because cabinets in particular, households that are doing renovations, if you're removing your cabinets and you don't have an outlet like a Restore or something similar, or a neighbor or a family member who's going to take those cabinets, they're just going to be sledgehammered up and thrown into a dumpster. That's what happens to cabinets. And that's really unfortunate because so many of them are certainly usable, in great shape. And for us, that's an item in particular that can fetch a better price tag, right?
God, cabinets are so expensive.
Right. So, but those guys will go out, remove the cabinets, safely and efficiently and not going to damage your walls or anything, and then bring them back to the store for resale. And that just, it's a win-win for everybody. No one wants to see stuff like just thrown into a dumpster like that. And a lot of people really like the idea that they're going to support a local community effort or affordable housing for someone else. And so we're really happy about that. And if there are contractors out there too, we're really trying to reach out to the trades and the contractors who might be doing those jobs, and saying to their clients, okay, yeah, you're going to get a brand new set of cabinets here, but these are pretty nice too. So, do you want to talk to Habitat, and we'll get these into their hands. And so if anybody out there is listening about that, we would love to talk to them too.
So before you jump in, because I know you're gonna, I already asked her I go, Skip Dennis is all over this from Junk Luggers, right? So when I was there on Saturday, I'm looking at this place. I'm like, you know who I want to introduce you to? She's like, he comes by here all the time.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, then.
Exactly. You read my mind.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could see her like kind of fidgeting over there. And I'm like, I'm going to get to this before you do, because I know your brain was working the same way mine was. So
I've known Skip for a little while. He's great. He does. He swings by.
Another neighbor of mine. We just got quite the neighborhood.
Apparently, right? So it's funny because Skip is in Networking Group USA. He's in the Middleborough chapter and has done a great job with Junk Luggers. But what's important is what was amazing to me going into the restore was super clean. You guys have done an amazing job. And as soon as I walked in, there were those two women that greeted me, the one with the pumpkin glasses on because it was Halloween.
It was Halloween.
Right. But she just walked, and they were just so happy to see me. It wasn't like, here we go. I got to go do that. Like they genuinely cared that I was there and wanted to be so helpful and introduce me to every angle and nook and cranny that was there, and I was just there to drop off a table. I wish more people knew about it, and so I hope that we can have a little part in raising awareness on our end, at least, to drive some people there, because it's not only really good material and really good products that you have in there, but it's also going towards the cause.
Right. And ultimately those funds are supporting the operation, right? And so the more that we can raise that way, the more work we can be doing out in the community. And thank you for bringing up both Melissa and Donna. Melissa is our restore manager. She's been doing a fantastic job, and Donna is our donation coordinator. And together they are making sure that the quality of product is really nice. And we're very selective. We want people to have the same kind of experience that you did. And we definitely want everybody to know about it. So thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah. So how can an individual or a business get involved, make the most impact? And then my last part is, if you had to give your best 30-second commercial for the Habitat for Humanity, what would it be?
So in terms of, if I can split that up, just in terms of a business opportunity, if anybody's interested in coming out and having that rewarding experience of, being a volunteer group for a given day, it's really mutually helpful, both to your business environment. People will oftentimes come to the site and they're able to work with each other in a way that they don't on a day-to-day basis. You might have management working with, entry-level staff, and that's not something that businesses do every day. And it's a really nice experience to put your hands to work in a very tangible, and you can see the results of your work on any given day. And so we would encourage people to consider that as an opportunity. And then if they do that, also spread the word about it, right? Because it's that ripple effect that I talked about earlier when we have tradesmen and women coming forward and sharing that they took part in some piece of our construction project, that ripples, and we'll hear from others who might say, hey, I've got something to offer. And so that's really helpful. And then, from an individual standpoint too, whether it's volunteerism or financial support, I can't leave out the financial support that we need, and businesses also, so whatever that capacity is, if it's an individual making a donation on an annual basis, or we're coming up on year end here, and sometimes there are businesses out there that are looking at the giving season as a way to support a local charity. We would love to have that kind of conversation with you. And so those are just some hands-on as well as financial support that directly impacts our construction sites. That I would say those are ways that people could get.
If I can jump in just for a minute, I think it's important to touch more on that team building part as a community, as a company, from a corporation perspective or a business perspective, because I feel like a lot of lot of business owners that I talk to that have, mid-sized teams, they're always looking for team building opportunities
Right.
and team. Do we take them axe throwing or
Right.
trying to bring them to a Bruins game or something or anything to pull everybody together? I would imagine that would be not only a great team building exercise, but unbelievably rewarding too. I mean, that's something that people are going to go and talk to their friends about and say, not only is the company that we represent a great company to work for, but we also give back to the community.
Right.
Look at what we did.
Right.
And not that you do it for the publicity, but pictures get taken,
They do.
right? Instagram gets posted, and it's okay because at the end of the day, yeah, maybe they're getting some spotlight for being philanthropic, but also it's shining light on the habitat too. So I would also recommend or just throw it out there to any business owner that is looking for a team building camaraderie type of play. Why wouldn't you do something like this?
Right, and it's all matter. I mean, we have had many banks on site with teams. We've had hoteliers. We've had just small businesses. We've had the chamber ambassadors, which represents a huge swath of different types of business. On any given week over the course of the last several months, we've had at least one team build going on with a corporate or a business entity. And that's actually when we added years up until a couple of years ago, we were just building on Saturdays. And when I moved into the seat that I'm in now as executive director, we added Thursday and Friday. And one of the reasons for that was because of this concept, was that we knew that if businesses wanted to participate, they would want to do it on a Thursday or a Friday. They're not going to do it on a weekend because they're doing this in place of going to some retreat or whatever it might be. And then in addition, and we do have for businesses that are not nonprofits or not civic groups, we actually do charge a little bit of a donation for the opportunity to come and have this experience. It's not onerous, but it is helpful to us. So ultimately, though, if they have a good experience on that day, from our perspective, they are more likely perhaps to continue to support us in a future year. And so that's something that was in the model to begin with. And so, yeah, we encourage any business to come out, and it doesn't matter what they do on a day-to-day basis. They can be supportive.
Well, shit, if I had to pick between doing hot yoga or building a house with my team,
Goat
I can
yoga?
tell you what I would pick. And it's not goat yoga,
Goat
hot
yoga.
yoga. It's building a house to give back to the community. So
I think
love
your team
that.
would be better building a house.
Yeah, come on.
The
We're
visual,
good.
the
We're
visual
good.
of some of those yoga poses is
No, well, hey now we'll leave
Hey
that
now.
one.
The other thing that I would just say on that, though, too, is that from age, like our volunteers span ages from retirees to young professionals to, young adults and so forth. But for businesses that have younger people in their workforce, there's data to show they're specifically looking for jobs where they're giving back to the community. That's actually what the younger workforce, many of them, are looking for. So this is an avenue to do that, to achieve both, across the ages, a good experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I started doing 4 years ago, and it was really just to teach my little ones the importance of giving back, is where we do a Secret Santa Christmas tree delivery.
Yeah.
And so we don't make a big deal of it. We don't take pictures. We don't interview anybody. I'd actually prefer them not to be there, right? Just drop off the tree on the front step or on the back porch and just Merry Christmas. So maybe what I think we should do is, along when somebody gets a new home, maybe we should add them to our Christmas tree list.
That would be lovely.
I think that's a
Brendan.
good little
And thank you for doing the work that you're doing already with your
Yeah.
kiddos. It's really important that we teach them when they're young. Absolutely.
hand a
well,
little
I
bit,
applaud
so.
you for doing that work because it's all of those.
Oh, Jesus.
Well done, Gina.
okay.
Well done.
Derek, who let her in front of that soundboard, Derek? My God, you're
Wait
never
till I
going to get it
actually know
back.
what all the buttons do.
Yeah. So why don't we do that? When we get some new homeowners in the house, it'll come with a Christmas tree
All
that year.
right. I will take you up on it.
We'll
That's
add
awesome.
that to it.
That's
We'll
awesome.
figure it out. What's the best 30-second commercial for the Habitat for Humanity?
So I guess I would want to focus on the transformative outcomes that come with Habitat. I would just say, to get involved with Habitat for Humanity is to be part of a collective effort that truly changes lives over generations. The work that will come, or the outcomes that will result from having an affordable home, having secure, stable, affordable housing that a family can grow in and can thrive in, is reward into itself. So if there's any way that someone out there listening can be part of that effort, whether it's hand-on, financial, or through services and just spreading awareness, being part of that story is really rewarding. And I would just encourage it in any which way people could.
Well, you can certainly tell how committed and impactful this organization is to you. You can certainly tell by the passion that you have and the way that you speak about it, that how much it means to you, and again, the impact that it has on the community. So all we can say is thank you for all this stuff, all the work that you put in. I know it takes a village, but it's nice to see somebody at the helm steering it in the direction to make sure that you can impact as many people in the community as you can. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Brendon. But can I also say thank you to you, not only for this opportunity and just all the conversations that we've had, but I just want to thank you in advance for what you're bringing your expertise to the Restore and through this retirement planning session that we have just coming up in a couple of days, Brendon's expertise. But I just really think that your willingness to share your wealth of information and all of your experience and expertise with people of all incomes, like that's incredibly empowering. I think, oftentimes people are thinking about retirement planning as for some other group of people. Maybe you have to have a certain capacity or you need to be in a certain place of life to really grab hold of that and make it valuable in the long term. And that doesn't have to be the case, right? You can start early, you can start small, but it'll have a meaningful difference in the long run. And so I just really appreciate your willingness to do that on Wednesday.
Thank you very much. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's going to be an exciting conversation. There's not going to be any kind of accounts or products, driven towards it. It's purely informational and educational. And we're going to talk about the importance of getting ahead of retirement planning or even just planning for later. So we have, what we'll just say is thank you, Amy, so much for being here, the director of the Habitat for Humanity in the Greater Plymouth area, and also running the Restore out of Carver, which if you're ever wondering where in Carver it is, just go to the Tractor Supply store and just 2 doors down, basically, right? So right there on, is that 58?
Right on 58.
Right on 58.
160 North Main Street.
So let's wrap this up. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube. We have a whole link tree. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We got the whole 9 yards there. Thanks to Gina over there in the producer's seat. Thanks so much. Hey, now.
Welcome.
Thank
you for coming, Amy.
Thank you, Gina.
And so we will just say we're the Networking Group USA podcast, real connections, real growth, real business.